What up, everybody? How we all doing? Starting a little earlier than normal. Welcome to the Transformer Slag podcast live stream Saturday night main event. How we all doing tonight? It's been a busy week in Transformer news, a lot of cool stuff, and I got a little cool little things in the mail this week. I need a haircut like there is no tomorrow. I'm going to try to get one this week. The world is in a crazy place, and sometimes it's not the easiest thing to do, especially here in Montreal. So, how we all doing? How we all doing? Shall we jump into it? Let's jump into it. And then we'll take some super chat questions and just enjoy the evening. So, starting from the top of the block, the big news. The big news this week, probably more than anything else, was that of the announcement and the first official look at the Battle Across Time collection, which is confirmed to be a Amazon exclusive concept, pretty much the spiritual successor to that of the Transformers Kingdom line for when Transformers Earthrise had Galactic Odyssey. Again, this is an Amazon exclusive. There is small supplies of it that are on Hasbro Pulse as we speak, but at the same time, I mean, it's something that's going to exist, unfortunately. It's something that is going to exist, and I'm going to explain why this is going to continue to exist, but let's just go into the little nitty-gritty of the details here. So, of course, as confirmed from all the sources and the reading and what we speculated from the parts and the pieces, Mirage, while a repaint remold of the original, does have some new tooling to make him more of a modern Formula One car. The spoiler is different. The cockpit is an open wheeler, so it's more that of a real Formula One car instead of an enclosed cockpit like most vehicles. Otherwise, everything is more or less kind of the same. It doesn't use clear plastic, so the sensitivity of a clear plastic Mirage previously will not be present in this one. Unfortunately, Grimlock, he was the one I was probably more excited about when I heard about it, but as I look at it right now, I am not feeling that paint scheme. I was really hoping for something very similar to that of the original Beast Wars Grimlock toy from back in 97. I wanted that, I don't know, Dalmatian Dino clear kind of pattern with a little bit, if you don't want to go with gold, the bronze I could get away with, but I don't know. I'm just not feeling the color scheme. I think it might be a product of the way the transformation works, and they just couldn't get the colors to work in both modes. That's what I'm assuming. But at the same time, I don't know. I guess in my mind, I was hoping for something more like the original. And either way, I'm still pretty excited about this. It is a little pricey, but that Mirage is really doing it for me. I love my Formula One Transformers, so that's going to be pretty hard for me to pass up on. And the Grimlock will just be a bonus, even though he was kind of the one I was looking forward to of the two, if anything. Now it's kind of went the other way around. I do want to get into some of the little details of the Mirage. That was pretty cool. The brand new one here, they keep all the original kind of decos of the original cartoon model and toy model. But instead of it saying Elf on the front of the original, on the right there, you have the 26, then you have Elf written under it. Elf was, for people who don't know the history of Mirage and what his alt mode was, he was the JS11 Ligier Formula One, who was driven by the legendary Formula One driver Jacques Laffitte, and Lafitte for Anglophones. And he drove in that car. He got 2 Formula One Grand Prix wins out of it in that exact Mirage. And Elf was a oil company, a French oil company, that provided the oil for that Formula One vehicle. So years later, we can't use Elf because it's a brand that doesn't belong to Hasbro. So instead of an Elf, why not Orc? Because get it, elves, orcs, sure, why not? Maybe it's a Lord of the Rings thing. Either way, I appreciate the effort to do something different while still trying to keep the spiritual kind of thing that's going on with the Formula One stuff. And again, I go into the nitty gritty of Formula One's history when it comes to Transformers and why a lot of those those stickers and designs can exist today because of trademarks that Hasbro does not own, or in some cases even tobacco companies. So that being that, now I do want to talk about one thing. So we have this thing where people are not happy with the recent news that this is going to be a Amazon exclusive. And it already went up on Amazon and it sold out. Just completely got obliterated and got sold out. It is still available on the Hasbro Pulse website, so if you do want an alternative for picking it up, there is one choice. But there is kind of a reason why this always ends up being an Amazon exclusive, and it comes with something I talked about on Twitter, and it has to do with the fact that, and this is when it still was available, you can't even see this page anymore because it's sold out. When this set dropped, it sold like crazy and ended up being the #1 selling toy on the toys and games section of Amazon.com, which is a big deal. A very big deal. Nothing that we've had thus far from Galactic Odyssey and nothing that we've really had just in general of Transformers has gotten the #1 bestseller spot for any kind of moment on Amazon. So it really shows that Amazon, they're going to look at this and they're going to go, wow, this thing is doing really well. We need to do more of these. And Amazon's going to keep paying Hasbro to make these exclusives for them. Because if they make exclusives for them and they sell this crazy to the point that they become a #1 seller, it's crazy. And Dreamer out there says now the Hasbro Pulse one is sold out. Well then. Well then, there goes those options. So, I mean, I hate to be the bringer of bad news, but this is why this happens. Because the incentive for companies, look, exclusives happen because these retailers, they want to have something special. They want to have something special for their store, for their online store, and they pay Hasbro to have these exclusives. They pay them exuberant amounts of money that we can't even fathom. And if Amazon does something like that, and then we turn around and buy it to the numbers that it makes the #1 bestseller, well then, do you think Amazon's going to want to do it again? You damn right they will. So, I mean, it's just kind of the name of the game, unfortunately. And again, for it to be the #1 bestseller, which I'll tell you something, as someone like me who tracks Transformer stuff vividly, I have never seen that. I have never seen a Transformer product make the #1 bestseller in toys and games on Hasbro.com. So this is incredible, to say the least. But it's also, a double-edged sword. It is going to be bad news when we think about it at the end, if you're an individual that can't get this one way or another. So keep that in mind. Let's get into what's kind of the topic du jour in a lot of ways, and it's that of a Transformer card game. So it was announced on BoardGameGeeks.com and later broke out all over the rest of the interweb of the next Transformers card game. Now, I emphasize card game, not trading card game, not TCG, not CCG. It is a deck building game. Now, this is done by Renegade Game Studios. It's not Wizards of the Coast. It is a company that is licensing the game, the brand of Transformers from Hasbro. Hasbro mentioned them very briefly during their Fan Fest about they're one of the companies that they're going to be working with when it comes to trademarks and licensing of the Transformer brand for board games and all kinds of stuff. And they've already did a Power Ranger deck building game. So if you do want to get kind of idea of what deck building games are based on the the Hasbro brands from Renegade and what this might be like, as we speak right now, the Power Ranger one is going to be coming out this month. This, we don't have a release date yet. We don't have much information, but we do know that this is coming out at some point. But if you want to get kind of an idea and a flavor of what's going on here, you can pick up the Power Ranger one. It's available on Amazon right now, and it's available, I believe, on a few other outlets too. And it also gives us probably an idea of what it'll cost, because the Power Ranger one has a similar packaging size. So I'm thinking the Power Ranger one, I've seen prices between $40 on some websites. Amazon has $44.99, so pretty much $45. So this is something where If it does interest you, it is something that will be coming in the future. Now, what a deck building game is exactly, as opposed to a TCG, is the box gives you everything in one shot. You don't have to crack packs, you don't have to look for secret rares, you don't have to look for, or whatever, super rares, or rare cards, or buying case after case after case of booster boxes. This is something where everything's in one pack, everyone's on an equal playing field, and you just play the game together. And each deck building game has a different kind of mechanic and atmosphere, so I can't speak much else of beside that until we learn more. All we could see right now, it uses evergreen designs. Matt Frank supposedly did some of the art and everything, so pretty cool stuff. Apparently Josh Perez did the coloring for this too, so really cool. But nonetheless, we will get more information of it as this develops. I have contacted Renegade Games to try to get some more information, potentially get some preview cards in the future to talk more about this. Looks interesting. I'm intrigued. I'm interested. And I know there's a lot of people that also have been looking for that next thing after the Wizard of the Coast one kind of ended. So this could be the next step. We shall see. Let's get into some other news. Let's talk about the premium finish line that we talked about last week. So Takara put out a whole bunch of new images, comparing pretty much how this is going to look compared to their retail counterparts. And the Bumblebee looks like it has a butt ton of paint on it. So it looks very show accurate, or in this case, movie screen accurate. And in the case of the Optimus, that's based off of the Siege Netflix series, again, going for that crazy accuracy. It looks really, really good. What was included in those image packages were two things that caught my eye. The first one was Optimus was shown attacking a generic Siege Seeker jet. Now, in any scenario, we would just say it's a badly lit Sunstorm, perhaps. But this is more of a sandy, sandstorm kind of color scheme. But, people are saying, oh, it's just the Sandstorm. It's not the Sandstorm. There's the G2 Sandstorm right there from Hasbro Pulse. It's not that figure either. This could be something else that we might be getting in the future. Maybe it's just a one-shot thing that Hasbro did just to have, Takara, to have for their product images. Who knows? We're going to find out at some point. But it is fascinating that this is a weird way to kind of reveal yet another figure, because it gets into the next thing also here too, which was they showed us that this line is going to have pretty much 12 separate releases over a span of at least 6 months. And what you're looking at here is the uncodified version of it. Essentially, when they posted the schedule, they put all these little silhouettes that were kind of hard to make out who the future characters were. And this is more or less the updated version of it from the last time I posted it on Twitter. This is the better version, if you will, that's a little more accurate. So we'll go through that. Just going to get some water in me. So the announcement is that both Bumblebee and Optimus Prime will be coming out in 2021 of October, and then every following month afterwards will be one Studio Series and one Generations-esque kind of figure. So obviously, again, October 2021, you're going to have Bumblebee and you're going to have the Siege Optimus. In November of 2021, it looks like you're going to get a Revenge of the Fallen Bumblebee and what looks like either a Siege or possibly Earthrise Megatron in, again, more premium color scheme. After that, in December of 2021, it looks like it's the 2007 movie Megatron. And then under that is a Ultra Magnus from the Generations line. Possibly to match something that might be more Studio Series-esque for maybe your Studio Series 86. We don't know. These images are not indications of how they're going to look in their color schemes, but it's just to show the molds because it matched the same shape of the silhouettes of the molds that were shown here. Now, for 2022, the following year in January, we're going to get the Deluxe Ratchet from Studio Series. And under that, and this is a very exciting one for people and very important, we're going to be getting that Soundwave. Now, hopefully the Soundwave will have a very, very, very Generation 1 show accurate kind of look. and then fans could finally get their Netflix Soundwave. They could probably get some kind of equivalency of that. That'll probably be, even better than the Netflix version we got here in the West. And if that's the case, that will be fantastic. That'll be absolutely fantastic news, and people will be able to pick these up. And considering, and I just want to go back here for a second, the Bumblebee, which is a deluxe, is going to go for $34.99, and the Optimus, that is technically a Voyager, is going to go for, I believe it's $53.99. And so that gives you an idea. If anything's a Voyager, it's going to probably be 53. If it's a deluxe, it's going to kind of be 34. Keep in mind, premium paint schemes. So you're paying more for better paint and everything like that. It's a different world we live in. So that Soundwave, that is technically a Voyager scale figure, $53. Maybe it's going to come to a little more because it might come with the cassette guys, but it's going to probably have a crazy color scheme. So it's probably going to be something that if you couldn't get that darn, Netflix version, that I think is really great, and it's a really great version, don't get me wrong, but if you can't get that one, this might be a good alternative, and they'll probably be pretty plentiful out there. Then we get to February 2022, and we got an Optimus, Age of Extinction, it looks like, and again, this is just guesses based on the silhouettes. These images don't represent the figures. It's just guessing pretty much on the silhouettes. But again, another really exciting one here is that of Springer. Because if they take that Springer, look, that Siege Springer was pretty much a Studio Series 86 Springer anyways. He pretty much knocked it out of the park. You take away all that Siege battle damage and weathering on him, and you give him a more Studio Series 86 color scheme, and you got yourself the best Springer you could probably get from Western retail that isn't third party. So that's a really exciting one for a lot of people that are a big fan of that character. Shout out to David Cabal, who loves his Springer, and Neil Ross. So, that's some awesome stuff. That's some really, really awesome stuff. That one is probably, out of everything here, that's the one that's probably the most intriguing to me because of what it could potentially do for people's shelving displays. And anyone who picked up a Siege Springer in the past, now they have a better one coming in the pipeline. Now keep in mind, again, Voyager price point, so probably going to be that $53.99 price range. It's going to be a little more expensive, but you're paying for that paint and to look accurate. The final month of this, March of 2022, we're going to have what looks like it's going to be the Leader Class Jetfire, and under it is the Earthrise Wheeljack. Again, probably going to have some crazy paint schemes. There's a lot of leader classes just pumping around here. It's going to be an expensive line, let me tell you. But if it has any kind of legs, if it has any kind of interest, it might be something that truly is a spiritual successor to that of the Transformers Legends line that we had all those years ago, which pretty much started all the way back with Transformers Henkei, which is you always had a Western retail release and then a more highly painted Takara version. And it's been existed all the way back when it was United, or when it was called Henkei, or when it was Gente Gente. They had all kinds of different Japanese equivalencies. Legends is probably the most prolific of it with Sakamoto because it had the manga pack-ins and the really nice box art. But it looks like it really is in a lot of ways a spiritual successor to that kind of concept. So keep an eye out for that, guys. It's something that is going to be talked about more by the podcast in the future when we end up getting better images of this. This is just pretty much a indicator of what we will be getting, primarily because of how those silhouettes look. But it's going to be pricey. It's going to be pricey, but that's the name of the game, unfortunately. Next up, we get into some pricey masterpiece news. So we got our first ever CG mock-up, and this is the one I'm referring to in the middle here, of our Raiden, or Raiden, however you want to pronounce it. Raiden, the Headmasters, Trainbots, Combiner team. The actual team itself never got a Western release. It was only available in Japan, that G1 set. It was originally a Diaclone set, so there's just a whole bunch of history there and difficulty with that team to begin with. So they announced this a while back that this was going to be happening. There was going to be a big event in early 2020 called the Train in the Sky event or something, where it was going to be this big gathering where all these different, live action and fictional kind of train stuff was going to be all on display, and Hasbro and Takara were going to reveal their big Raiden masterpiece display. And then the big V happened, put that all on ice, and we didn't get many updates on it since then. Now we have, this comes courtesy of the Transformers Generation Guidebook that will be hitting people's mailboxes very soon. The latest issue of the Transformers Guidebook, we got a picture here of the CG mock-up of Shuki. Shuki is one of the members and the leader of the trainbots. I believe he made the right foot of Raiden. And this is how his CG mock-ups look. On the left is how his show model looks. And I wanted to include on the right here, at the same time that Takara announced this, a third-party company called Moon, I think it was called Moon Studio or something, they put out their third-party version mock-ups. So on the right is the third-party one. On the left is one example of the Takara CG mock-up. So pick your poison. Pick which one you'll like more. Obviously, I'm going to judge it when I see both of them in actual plastic form. But it does show that the Raiden concept is not dead. It's not over yet. There's still more to come. And hopefully we'll learn more about that, how big this guy will be and everything. I'm assuming, judging by, just looking at the way his hands are, and if the hands are any indication, this might be something that's like a Voyager individual kind of thing, because usually, deluxes don't have open hands like that, because usually open hands mean they could close and they have some kind of articulation in them. And you don't usually see that in a deluxe. I think like Hot Rod, the recent Hot Rod, which is a Voyager, but man, like it's going to be interesting to see where this goes with this. I'm really curious because it's going to be our first ever Masterpiece Combiner officially by Takara and Hasbro. So it'll be a very strong indication of how things will be done in the future. Next up on Masterpiece, let's talk about this other Masterpiece they were talking about, which some people are questioning why it even exists this early. It's that of Masterpiece Skyfire. Now, they showed here what they wrote in Japanese, which I translated, was a rough prototype. It's not the final product. It doesn't have all the details. It is just a rough prototype of how the product is more or less going to look in a basic kind of silhouette. Next to it is MP10 Optimus. So why I brought out these photos on the right here is to kind of give us an indication of how big this thing is going to be. Up to this point, Masterpiece Starsaber is the tallest of the Masterpiece figures. So we have here at the bottom MP10 Optimus with Siege Jetfire, and then we have on top Siege Jetfire next to Starsaber. And when you compare our Siege Jetfire next to this Masterpiece one, this Masterpiece one looks slightly taller. It looks like it's slightly taller when you compare the two. Obviously, the way the pose is and everything could lead to a whole different thing. But at the end of the day, I think this thing might end up being as tall as Starsaber, if not taller than Starsaber. So we might end up getting a brand new tallest Masterpiece toy in the Transformer line. But we will find out when that time comes. For all we know, this might be the direction they're going. If we have a combiner team coming, chances are we're probably going to have also maybe two figures that are going to be taller than Starsaber. But that's here and nor there, and we won't know until that time comes. And speaking of height, it's really an emphasis of show accuracy, because when we pull up the old character models, Jetfire was a big guy. Skyfire in Fire in the Sky Season 1, he was a big dude. That was the big emphasis on him. When Megatron found him, it was all about a big robot. He was a big dude. So they're really going for that, hey, this is a big robot. It's a big, expensive robot. And I think that the only reason why people are kind of scratching their heads is really because, well, we had that Siege one. And that Siege one was pretty good. Almost very good. And like very, very good, to the point that's like, does this thing have a market? Are people going to want to pick this up? How much will this cost? If you have something like Masterpiece, Beast Wars Megatron and Tigatron hitting that, high 200, low 300 range, how much is something like this going to cost? Is this going to be a $400 Masterpiece figure? Are people going to want to spend $400 on a Masterpiece when a Commander class did the job? That's where it gets kind of dicey. That's where it really goes, who is this market for? Is it going to be worth it? Is it a character that will have that demand? Very difficult to cross over that and figure that out. But it's something that we will cross that bridge when the time comes, and we'll learn more. But what we see right now from this prototype, again, it's not the final product, so a lot of those fine details from the animation model are not present. This is just them really trying to show the base transformation. We've seen prototypes in the past that had very bare bones kind of details, but they just really wanted to show how the engineering for it would work, and I think this is kind of the same thing. And maybe it's so early that we might not even see this for a year or 2 years. And if it's a year or 2 years, then, I mean, if you put a 5-year distance between this Skyfire and the Commander Jetfire, then I could understand that. You know, if there's a 5-year gap between it and Commander class has been out of stores and the allocation of stock that appears in the secondary market is limited, sure, why not? Combined with the fact that we have that Masterpiece Starscream coming, and this might be a companion piece to go with the Starscream in a lot of ways, much like when they did the Masterpiece Sunstreaker, they reissued Lambor, aka Sideswipe, to have it as a companion piece in a lot of ways that people could buy one and the other. It's a possibility. Again, I'm trying to make sense of what's going on here because it's not one of the choices I would have made personally on the Masterpiece lineup, but clearly there's something going on here that they're clearly, they're trying to make sense of why they're doing this. But either way. Last thing we're going to cover more or less is that of some third-party news, and it is that of my beloved Jizai Toys that I've talked many times about on the podcast. Jizai Toys, which is a group of individuals that have been making third-party stuff long before third-party was mainstream. I mean, they were doing stuff as early as 2003, and they've always had these crazy designs, unique designs, stuff that transforms, not necessarily using the Transformers IP, just stuff that transforms into one thing and the other. Some of their designs were adopted by official third-party companies and licensed out, like that of the Fans Project Headmasters, the Super Alloy Wheelie. Even Takara kind of really used his Cyclonus for the Universe 2.0 Cyclonus Deluxe back in the day. So this is his Convoy cassette. This is just a one-shot 3D printed version to kind of show what the concept would be like, which is essentially it's using the limitations of tape cassettes that function with the Generation 1 cassette bots, so whether it be Blaster or that of Soundwave, and then taking those limitations and being able to still do Generation 1 characters in transformation. So it's really cool to kind of have these triple changer cassettes where you have an Optimus that could still kind of do a truck mode and still kind of do a robot mode and have little accessories and still be within the limitations and the design of a tape cassette. Really cool idea. I really dig this a lot, and I really hope one of the third-party companies talk to Jizai and want to license these designs and do something with it. Again, this isn't the first time that he's done stuff which has never been released, but there also is times when there is interest, people will jump on it. And I mean, I think it looks great. And he also showed off that there is going to be a Magnus white repaint, but there also is going to be a Megatron. And the Megatron has the engineering and design to both turn into a gun and turn into the robot mode. Now, it doesn't have any accessories right now, like its shoulder cannon or anything, but I think these look spectacular. And I'd like to see more characters of this. I really would. I'd be curious to see how he'd be able to pull off some of those car bots. Would he be able to do a Bumblebee? Would he be able to do a Jazz, a Hot Rod, a Shockwave? Well, a Shockwave would probably be able to be done if you could get a Megatron out of it. But it really shows Jizai's amazing abilities when it comes to this kind of stuff. And I can't stress enough, every time I see their work, I'm always insanely impressed with everything they do. So that's more or less it for news this week. I just want to jump into our sponsorship, and then we'll talk about what we got this week in a kind of small manner. So, of course, again, guys, Symbiote Studios. I'm wearing their Cat Bravo t-shirt today. SymbioteStudios.com. They are the official licensee of Transformer plush pins and t-shirts, as well as other Hasbro brands. And we actually have a little bit of a teaser today. We have a little cool thing. So, of course, SymbioteStudios.com. Check them out. They have their new stuff, of course, which is that of their Grimlock and Soundwave, and Starscream, excuse me. And I got my Grimlock right here. Look how big he is. Look how huge this is. Amazing. Amazing. These guys are awesome. Really cool gift you can get people. $24.99 for Grim. All the others are still on the website. Bumblebee is in low stock, so be sure to get on that. Grimlock is selling really well, though, too. Also, check out their Man-Eater stuff. I really love that video game. I keep plugging it because I just love that little Man-Eater pup. But here is a little spoiler today. So, Symbiote Studios also works with all the other Hasbro brands, and one of them that is green with evil is going to be getting his first ever plush. Not going to say what it is. This is the teaser. There will be better images in the near future, but a whole plush line in relation to these characters is on its way. So be sure to check that out, too. Now then, guys, let's get into what we got this week. I don't get a lot of stuff every week. I'm kind of a low-cost kind of dude. But I did get something. And maybe people saw it on my Twitter, too. So I have a friend in Korea. Once in a while, he sends me little baggies of Keshigumus. Keshigumus, essentially, I'll show an example of them right here. Where's a really nice one? Are these little rubber figures. It's what decoys were for Transformers. And he collects them by the truckload. He gets them extremely cheap. And essentially, he then sorts through them. And then he has a whole bunch of extras. And he lets me know what he has. And I pick up one of those extras. So, like, to give an example, he sent me Piccolo from Dragon Ball. This is like one of the very first Piccolo figures, actually. This one's from like 1991. So a nice little green Keshi Piccolo. They also got, here's Vava, aka Vile from Mega Man X. Really cool. A whole bunch he sent me. Samurai Showdown stuff too. This one's really cool. This is Canadian Man from Ultimate Muscle. So I'm Canadian, so Canadian Man's a big deal to me. Same thing, you have Robin Mask doing his Robin backbreaker. Really cool stuff. But what he sent me among all of this is because they also send me small little color figures. So here's from Power Rangers Turbo, aka Car Ranger, the Pink Ranger, little thing like that. And one of the figures that he sent me, among also some Ultimate Muscle ones, again, Kiniku Man. But he sent me this, and I posted it on my Twitter. He sent me the DVD exclusive Spy Changer movie Optimus Prime. And he sent me two of them. So essentially what it was a DVD promo where if you got the Transformers 2007 Michael Bay movie in Japan, this was a pack-in promotion item. And what was cool about it, it uses the Laser Rod Optimus Prime Spy Changer mold, aka Scourge, aka Black Convoy, and then gives it the movie color scheme, especially like if you look at the chest there and everything. On my Twitter, if you look on this way, if you look on my Twitter over there, Protoman Gaming, I did the comparison photos. So you could see all the different history that used this mold. So that was a cool little thing that I got in the mail. I was really hyped about that because it's one of those like weird promotional things, and I really dug that a lot. I really dug it a lot because those are really tough to get, really really tough to get. And there was a lot of promotional items when it came to Transformers. So it's in Japan, and some of them are like, especially the Minicon stuff. Oh my God, those are really difficult to get. Really, really, really difficult to get. But I mean, I got a whole bunch of these Keshis. Like he sent me like a Bulma. There's a little Bulma figure. I don't even know which Bulma it is though. Maybe it's Android Saga. I can't tell by the long hair. Maybe Android Saga. It's hard to tell which Bulma that is by the jacket. What else did I get here? A lot of Samurai Showdown. Love Samurai Showdown. There's Galford. Whole bunch of them. Ultra 7 from Ultraman. That's a nice cool one too. Actually, this is the evil Ultra 7 because he has the little robot chest there. But a lot of them. I got a whole bunch of them. He gets them literally by the bags full. Like it's insane. And then he kind of pieces through them and stuff. He looks for rare ones for me that I'm looking for. And he deals in small figures. All kinds of little small stuff in Korea. Good friend. Good bro. Good bro. Aside from that, that's it really. That's all I got. He sent me some stickers, too, of anime stuff, but nothing really too noteworthy there. Frieza Saga with that jacket. Well, the Frieza Saga, she had shorter hair. Because the hair is longer on this one. Bulma had shorter hair with the Frieza Saga, so I don't think it's the Frieza Saga one. And Bulma is one of those characters you could tell what era of Dragon Ball it is by her hairstyle and what she's wearing. That girl's all over the place. The only reason why I got her, I think, because she was on the same sprue as Piccolo. They were both on the green sprue, so they came together along with this dude from Samurai Showdown. Either way. But yeah. So let's get into some super chat questions. We'll do that, and we'll just relax for the rest of the evening. I think that was it, really, for Transformer news. Not really much else. It's been a quiet week overall. Supposedly, Hasbro was supposed to do some kind of big announcement in mid-May, they were saying. We don't know if it was supposed to be that, Battle Across Space set. Was that the big announcement? They didn't do any kind of event. They did something for Power Rangers, but they didn't do anything for us. So I think we're maybe this week coming up, like maybe this Tuesday or this Thursday or maybe on Friday, we're going to get some kind of stream. Usually Hasbro's good at announcing it at least a couple days early, but we'll see what happens. It's kind of perplexing, to say the least. But yeah, it's been a nutty week. So let's jump into some questions. And oh yeah, almost forgot, I got this one too. He sent it looks like a Keshi, but it's a Keshi of an old Famicom game, Super Mario 1. Forgot about that one too. It's all buried under here. So many. Dear Proto, how would you incorporate female Transformers into Marvel TF? Well, I'll be honest with you. I like the idea of having female Transformers and male Transformers. I just like it because there's a social dynamic with it. And, I mean, the whole thing about them, being asexual and there is no gender with robots, I get that from a scientific standpoint. I mean, how is there gender with robots? But, I mean, these were robots that were created by, especially when you're talking the Marvel universe, where you're talking, like, gods of light and everything. I mean, is it crazy that Primus could create gender, too? If he could create cogs and gears and everything like that? Now, you could argue all the crazy things you want about gender being related to procreation and stuff, but I just like the idea. I like the idea because it creates a social dynamic. It really does. And that's always a fun thing to have. So how I would introduce them, I'd just introduce them. I wouldn't do it like Simon Furman, where humans create, and I love Simon Furman. Don't get me wrong. But the whole humans created RC because there's no female Transformers. Now, I just have female Transformers. I just have them. And that's it. End of story. Just because I like them. Because I think they're cool. Some of my favorite characters are female Transformers. So, Actually, my least favorite Beast Wars character, though, is probably a female Transformer. Because Air Razor's kind of boring. I mean, Black Arachnia is cool. But Air Razor's kind of boring. But yeah. Did you buy that Pretender Thanos? I didn't go out shopping today. Usually, Monday to Friday, I go to work, I go home. I keep it simple. It's a crazy world we're living in. I don't want to be outside more than I need to. I'm going to wait until this world goes back to normal. Saturdays are usually my go out shopping day. I didn't have time for it today. I'm going to do it tomorrow. And that's where I somehow find myself in Walmart or Toys R Us, because they're right next to my supermarket. So it's one of those things that we'll see. We'll see. I'll walk by it again and I'll try to convince myself 12 times not to buy it. I don't know if anything, I don't even know if it's on special. So I'm not going to drive myself too crazy about it, but I'll worry about it when the time comes. Which will be tomorrow. We'll see. I think Beyblades were on special at Toys R Us. That's the only sale I remember. 30% off Beyblades, which I like Beyblades. I think they're cool. There's a good Hasbro brand to do a copyright for. Where are we at here? Hey, Proto, do you think there could be a new mainline Megatron that does include a secret mode that makes him into a gun? I think if they did a secret mode that was a gray gun, I still think Hasbro would get in trouble. I think them being able to do a secret mode with 6-shot or with Shockwave is a little more safer, because if someone figures out a way to make that gun mode, it still is a purple laser gun. Or a white and whatever tealish kind of color. Oh, you can barely see 6-shot. But, whatever color 6-shot is, tealish, bluish, greenish, Like, those guys, even if the gun mode bubbles to the surface in the hands of a child, even accidentally, it's not something that's too much to be worried about. The way I see it is just, if you get a gray Megatron and he somehow has a secret gun mode, and that secret gun mode, is shown to public, and then a kid runs out with that Walter P-38 looking secret gun mode with all the grays and no orange tip. Like, hold on, let me show you something. I actually have this nearby because I usually, when I talk with people about it, this is a cap gun. This is a cap gun. You put caps in it. If anyone remembers cap guns. I'm trying to take it off here. Yeah, it's stuck right now. But look at it. Green, seafoam green, clear plastic, yellow trigger, orange. Look at this thing. This will blind you. Oh, there we go. Now it opens up. There, cap gun. This is how Megatron would look with a secret gun mode. He'd be these colors. Do you want these colors? No, you don't. This is what Laserbeak looked like in Armada because he had a gun mode. Laserbeak in Armada was supposed to be like red and gray. The prototype colors are out there. I think it was in the instructions. But then look what Laserbeak turned into. He turned into this color. This bright orange that looked terrible, appeared in one episode of the show, and that was that. I even remember Aaron Archer wasn't too crazy about it. Is he even in the chat today? Is Aaron here? We got a super chat question from Glompy Goat. Glompy Goat wants to know, do you think we will ever get digital download purchases of the G1 cartoon? Only season 1 is floating around. Or is Shout Factory as good as it's going to get? So actually, the funny story is Shout Factory is losing the license and trademark to the Generation 1 stuff. I believe in June it's happening. So another company is going to be stepping forward with that. It's possible Netflix might get it. You never know. But all I know is Shout Factory, they're done with Transformers. They're done. I think with all of the Hasbro stuff. Because I think that they had, what was that company there that was doing all the Power Ranger box sets there? What company was it? Was that also Shout Factory, I think? They're pretty much bailing out with all of that, and they're going to be doing stuff new because now Hasbro has this new, catalog, I guess, of stuff, and they want to really settle themselves with a company that could kind of handle all their stuff and have a good relationship. And supposedly Shout Factory isn't doing it for them. So chances are we might see yet another box set of Generation 1, possibly Blu-rays this time. And whenever they do the next anniversary of Transformers, another Transformers the movie DVD Blu-ray release. Who knows? But yeah, I think after June, we'll get a better indication of what's going to be happening with all of that footage of Generation 1. I mean, I'll be honest with you, personally, I wasn't a fan with a lot of the stuff that Shout Factory did. That Matrix box set thing, it was pretty cool and everything, but it was kind of a little light on the extras. I mean, I go to a single BotCon or TFCon that has more compelling extras from the voice actors and stuff than some of the stuff I would see with Shout Factory. I think their best box set they ever did, no joke, and it's kind of weird, was their Gem box set. If you get that truly outrageous Gem box set, it has tons of extras on it. Whoever worked on that one was incredible. But the people at Shout Factory, I mean, their Takara Japanese box set was terrible. Terrible. Ugh, don't buy that. Buy the European one, the Metrodome one. That's way better. Way better. Let's jump in there. But thank you for the super chat, my friend. Thank you for supporting the pod in the crazy world we're living in. Hey, Proto, where do you think the trailer for Kingdom's release? I speculate it'll be July 8th or July 7th. Well, it's going to be coming soon. That's for sure. I mean, think about it. We're almost, what is the date today? We're, let's see. We're May the 15th. We're slap dab in the middle of May. It's coming quick. It's coming quick. Look, in June, maybe they'll put the hype out. When did we get our Earthrise trailer? When did we get that, like, that Galvatron, I don't trust you trailer? When did that come out in relation to when the TV series launched? Was that a month away? I don't remember. So that'll probably give you a good indication of when Netflix is going to want to put out the hype, so to speak. and get people excited. We will find out what happens with that. It's still, it's still a month and so away, but I mean, it is coming quick. It is coming quick, and we still have no idea what's going to be happening afterwards. So it'd be really nice to know. I mean, what's happening with Cyberverse? Like, where's this TV movie that people are only murmuring about? We're all so in the dark with a lot of this. I feel like, what's going to happen? Like, an episode of it is just going to show up on TV and no one's going to realize it. But we'll find out when that happens. Dear Proto, how would you have incorporated the 90s Bakan repaint characters into the Beast Wars cartoon? Who would you cast for all the voices for them? Well, I remember what was really cool. If you play the Beast Wars PlayStation Transmetals game, you had Windraiser from Bakan 98. Was it 98 or 96? I think it was 98. Bakan 98. Windraiser, who was the Silverbolt repaint, he was in it. So that's pretty hype. That's pretty hype. I actually forgot to talk about that too. On the box I totally forgot to talk about it. I can't believe I forgot to talk about it. On the box for Grimlock, you see some wings on the side. And that's leading to speculation that we're going to get a repaint of Air Razor, the Kingdom Air Razor, into Beast Wars Silverbolt, but not the Fuser character, the Magnaboss Combiner character. So we'll find out what happens with that. But there's not many characters that have white wings on the end. So it's a very strong possibility. Can't believe I forgot to talk about that. I probably should have made a slide and segment for that too. Either way. But we will see. There's Aaron. Aaron, I was just talking about before because I was saying how you weren't a fan of Laserbeak, because someone was asking me how do you think Megatron could ever be a gun and have his Generation 1 colors? And I was like, look, this is a cap gun you could buy today from the dollar store. It's Laserbeak. You know what I mean? It's Laserbeak in terms of color scheme. Look, see, you could buy caps, no problem with gunpowder for kids, but just make sure it looks like a Nerf gun when it's all said and done. Bakan 99 was Razor. Okay, there you go. I have it mint on card. I never opened it. The problem is he was one of those Bakan exclusives that came on a card back, and I can't bring myself to open it. I can't. So I want to find one loose, and then when I find that one loose, I have no problem selling that carded one for its marked up crazy value, and then I'll feel better that way. I have the same problem with so many figures where somehow I'm looking for a rare figure and the only version of it I find is a sealed one, and then I'm like, great, I want to open this, but I don't want to open this because then I damage the secondary market of sealed ones. So it's complicated. I feel bad. I always feel bad with that. Protoman, speaking of third party, do you think Shattered Glass Megatron should have been retooled from Kingdom Galvatron with new age toys? Also, would it have worked with Super Megatron and Straxus? Well, I guess so, but you know what the problem is with that? I think that they probably wouldn't have had the budget for it. I mean, it's hard to say because that's a Voyager scale mold that they've already been using a lot. The Shattered Glass one that we have. And you see how the budget works with that. Third party is a whole different animal. It really depends on the company, the group, the factory that they're using, stuff like that. Gets really complicated with that. Dear Proto, is Transformer the movies dead or not? No, they're not dead. They actually just announced, it was on my Discord, that they're going to be recording in Montreal here in the next 2 weeks. So far from dead. The Beast Alliance heist movie is going to be recorded in Montreal in the next 2 weeks here. So I'm going to try to see what I can find. I'm going to talk to my local friends who know all of that stuff to find out where that's happening. Maybe get some photos. I hope so. It's going to be a little more difficult with the big V in the world, so it's going to be tougher to run around. But we'll see what happens. We'll see. Guns for kids. Here we go. Aaron Archer. Hello all. Guns for kids are going to be wacky, and that doesn't hinder the character. I think that's what he was trying to write. Honor the character. He was trying to write honor. Okay. Honor the character. It's tough. It's tough. Look, like, again, like, you're not going to get a Megatron like that. That's just the name of the game, You can't. You really can't. Hey, Proto, at prom, I wore my Autobot pin and everyone liked it. Why are you if you're at prom, why are you streaming me, brother? Don't do that. Enjoy your prom, man. Don't watch me at prom. You don't need people to hear my voice. Get off the phone. Get off the tablet. Go talk to somebody. Go talk to a girl. Might be the last time you'll see that girl because it's prom. You never know. She might not be coming back. Go talk to somebody. Don't see this face. What, you want to look at this face during prom? Come on, man. Oh, man. I actually posted some old photos recently on Facebook and stuff from my high school days and everything. Good times. But yeah, go enjoy yourself, man. Don't bother with me. Well, you wrote here, Jerry, you wrote at prom. Oh, you meant at prom past tense. Okay, I getcha. Well, I hope you had a good time then. I really do. I really do. Prom is important, my friend. Don't ever skip it. Even if you feel like you don't want to go to it, you're going to regret it later in life. It's better to go and not have a good time than not go and never know if you would have. Dear Proto, one more Megatron question. Will Takara make an MPV-3 as a gun? Who knows? Give it a couple years. Look, we already got our version 2, so I don't think we're going to get it soon. But it'll happen. The version 2 sold very well. They did repaints. It justified it. So version 3, I could see it happening. When will it happen? Give it 5 years. Give it 6 years. Give it 10 years. They need to create some distance there where the market could absorb that and then do it again, where there's a new set of collectors that will want to buy it. But that's a whole other story. Hey, Proto, what do you think of the original plans for 5 to 6 seasons of Prime with the Maximal Predacons and Starseekers? Well, Aaron could actually speak for that one because there was plans to continue Transformer Prime in a very different way, in that of having Mask involved and everything, and the original Autobot base being Boulder Hill from Mask, and Ratchet being part of that show and being kind of the connection between Transformers and the Mask series. There was plans. There was plans for the future. Aaron could go into it in bigger detail. He had all the slides in his panel that really showed all that cool stuff that was kind of in the works that just never happened. Let's pick another random here, because we got a lot. Proto, is it possible for Hasbro to make an IDW Drift? Well, they did. I mean, wasn't the original Deluxe an IDW Drift? I mean, that kind of looks like it. They could do it again, but it's really a matter of if they want to. When they did that IDW Drift, it was like topical. They had the mini series that had just come out by Alex Milne, and I believe James McCarthy did the one-shot, the Spotlight book for Drift. So he was kind of the flavor of the year character, so it made sense. Kind of like in a lot of ways what Windblade is, and then became a breakout character that was used later on. So I think we'll get another Drift at some point. It'll have some kind of IDW vein of inspiration in the same way that we get new Windblade characters in different continuities, but she still has that IDW flavor to her. It's just what her standard is right now. Hey, Proto, is Ravage a cat or a dog? He's a cat to me. Well, the original mold was referred to as Jaguar, so that's what the Japanese refer to him as. So, and a Jaguar is a big cat. I don't think he was ever a dog, ever. The closest thing he could be to a dog is maybe his mannerisms, like him sitting like a dog and Soundwave petting him like a dog that would be sitting next to you. Cats aren't usually known for doing stuff like that. I grew up with, at one point I had 5 cats and 3 dogs. So, and I'll definitely say cats are not exactly known to do that kind of stuff. Again, he's always been kind of a a feline-based kind of character. I mean, he's always a repaint of Cheetor stuff, so what does that say, if anything else? Let's see what else. Let's see something here. Dear Proto, do you own the Cobalt Century 2-pack? Which one is that? I don't know. Is that the one with the shot the Skywarp one there from Siege? I don't remember what the Cobalt Century one is. Oh no, wait, isn't that third party set there with the Ravage? Wasn't that a TFCon exclusive or something? I don't think I have that one. A lot of those exclusives, sometimes I would be offered them, but I just don't take them because I'm not big. I honestly, I'm not really big on third party in general. They have to be really unique. They really do. They have to be something. You know, when you only have so much space for everything, you just can't take everything. You know? So it's got to be something really unique. Dear Proto, how would you develop a reboot of King Arthur and the Knights of Justice? I'd keep it exactly the same, my friend, because I think it's a great concept. I love the idea of it. Do you know how many anime and manga, which are called isekais, exist based off of a very similar idea? Some guy from his timeline going back in time to the Merlin timeline and the medieval timeline, and then that kind of stuff. King Arthur and Knights of Justice is a great concept, very, very clever in a lot of different ways, and the original show had amazing voice actors. It's practically the entire Beast Wars cast, so I would love to see a remake of King Arthur, and I would just keep it the same. You know what I mean? I'd use all the same ideas. I'd have Merlin summoning him, having the original King Arthur. I don't want to spoil too much because people probably should watch it. But having the original King Arthur being captured and iced by Faye, and if you actually want to see the true ending of the TV series, you have to play the Super Nintendo game that has the true ending with a big spoiler at the end about the lineage. I love that. I love that series. I have everything of the toys and merchandise of it. It was a very small toy line that was done by Mattel using the He-Man molds, so it kind of worked out in the same way in terms of like the sculpt. Cool little horses and all kinds of gimmicks. Great stuff. Love that line. Where are we at here? I saw something about Beast Alliance. Dear Proto, speaking of the new Beast Alliance movie, do you think they may come up with some new characters like Shatter? Oh no, for sure. For sure. To even cut you off there, for sure. Think about it. Every single movie iteration we've ever gotten, they bring in some classic beats, and then they take some classic trademarks and give it a new spin. Like, Blackout wasn't a new trademark, it was an old Micromaster, but it was a new spin on an idea of Blackout. Barricade wasn't a new trademark, it was a trademark from Micromasters. They used it on the Cops toy line. They used it with, I think they even used it with the Police Academy toy line. But I know they used it with G.I. Joe also. But the point is, then they took that trademark, they gave it a new spin, and boom, here's the police character that literally, how could we ever go back? So for sure, we're going to get something new. There'll be some new Beast characters, hopefully. We got a super chat question from the Collector Prime. Thank you, Collector Prime, for the super chat question. And he wants to know, do you ever think we could see Lio Convoy or Big Convoy in a series within North America? 100%, my friend, and I'll tell you why, because those trademarks are kicking around. Lio Prime, first of all, has been used many a time within Transformers in the Western audience, and Big Convoy, they'll figure something out. Maybe they'll call him Big Prime. Who knows? But for sure. Or they'll just call him Big Convoy. That's a unique enough name. Maybe they won't have anything that Mattel has that could quash that. Big Convoy, like a big truck. But no, 100%, my friend. Like, you have to understand something. Like, those are two characters that sooner or later, when you run out of steam on how many things you could repaint a lion out of with Transformers, that character comes up, and it's the same thing. Big Convoy, that mammoth character, like, that's a unique mold, man. That is a unique mold. Like, over there's the bloody tusks over there. That's the the Scourge repaint, the black repaint of it. I have all the different versions. I love the Ultra Mammoth one too. That one's really cool. But those are two characters for sure. We're going to see more of them. Already we saw them in little bits and pieces in the previous Beast Wars comic books by IDW. We haven't seen them yet. Mind you, I don't want to get into spoilers, but the new Beast Wars book by IDW right now with Josh Burcham, we haven't seen them yet, but you never know. And with the new resurgence of interest in Beast Wars, because it being a 90s property and the 90s kids are influencing that, those Japanese exclusive characters could bubble up to the surface. I mean, look, I would have never thought that in the Western world we'd get guys like Black Shadow and Overlord and Metal Hawk as Western releases, as Western exclusive releases in a lot of ways. You know, like that like box set Metal Hawk that we got from, I think it was Battle for Velocitronia or whatever it was that box set was. Or I think it was the other one maybe. I don't remember. It was one or the other because they're all mixed up, those two box sets. But like Japan didn't even get that box set, which is crazy when you think about it. Japan didn't even get that box set, but we got it. Black Shadow, the deluxe figure. We got that figure, they didn't. Black Shadow, the leader class, the one that's the repaint of Overlord. We got that, they didn't. Isn't that weird? So I wouldn't be surprised. Stinkfist69 with the super chat with no questions. Stinkfist, ask a question, brother. 69, ask a question. You don't have a question? Okay, man. Thank you for the super chat, though, brother. If you have something, post it. If something comes to mind in the chat, just post it. I'll read it, my friend. Mikey Four Barrel wants to know, what features would you make? Excuse me. What features would you make you want to buy a new G1 box set? Are you aware of any Sunbow or Sunbow, depending how you want to pronounce it, stuff that fans haven't seen yet? Oh, there's tons. Look. Number one, all the original scripts and storyboards. That stuff is out there. You have to kind of curate it and put it into one spot, but that stuff is out there. Number two, there is tons of recorded audio of cut scenes from Generation 1 episodes, specifically Season 1. There's tons of that out there. You have to find it. It's not all in one place, but it's out there. So you take those storyboards from the scripts, you take that audio, you put that together, make that be a little extra, boom, there you go. Then you get guys like Bob, you get some of the writers that are still alive today. You know, obviously David Wise, rest his soul, he's not with us anymore, but take some of those other writers, sit them down and do interviews and talk about everything. You know, look, Flint Dilley, no offense to him, I love Flint Dilley, but he gets always these interviews talking about G1, but he didn't have anything to do with Season 1 and 2. He was more of a Season 3 onward kind of guy, but he seems to be the one that people always interview when they're talking about the Generation 1 cartoon because the 86 movie really is such a big deal, as it should be, you know? But I really think there's a lot of meat left on the bone, as I always say. There's a lot left. And I feel that alone, just those deleted scenes, like it's deleted audio. It exists. It was by those voice actors, never used. It's out there. You could really put something together and you slap a sticker on that DVD, you know, deleted scenes of G1. That alone will sell DVDs or Blu-rays or whatever is the format that we'll go with. You know, do people even buy Blu-rays and DVDs anymore? I know I still do, but I'm an old man. So, but it's just, I mean, that's the way I see it. Like there's so many little things that could still be used. So I'm pretty sure you could put something together that would cause people to go to the well again and buy. Look, I bought those old Rhino DVDs all those years ago. I bought them all those years ago. I easily, across those 4 seasons and those like they did like Season 2, Part 1, Season 2, Part 2. I must have spent easily like $400 across all of those seasons. And they were terrible. And then Shout Factory did their Matrix box set, which I think was like $200 or $300. And it was okay. It wasn't great, but it was definitely better than the Rhino one, which had those terrible masters. Terrible masters. So the Shout Factory one was slightly better, but the extras weren't that great. Where the Rhino one actually had a little bit more extras, and had those little animation cells that they included. Little bits and pieces that people appreciate, little tangible stuff that makes a little box set nice. I guarantee there's a lot left. There really is. And even when you get deeper into the pre-production history of Transformers, no one has ever really dived into that. You get Bob and you start pulling out all his old Dead Sea Scrolls of stuff and start talking about how Starscream was supposed to be called Ulptar, and Cliff Jumper was supposed to be called Blowpipe, and all that stuff. Like, you could really just create whole segments about that, where you could just talk about the characters before they were the characters and the toys and everything. And then you can involve, maybe Marvel doesn't want to play a game, but you could bring Marvel in and you could get some of those previous Marvel guys who worked on the show when it was Marvel Productions and talk with them and get them to talk about stuff. There's a lot. I remember I did this on my Twitter where there was an interview with one of the sound designers for Marvel Production who worked on the Hulk cartoon, and he ended up working on the Transformer movie. And he took the sound of the Hulk when he transforms and goes, "Arr!" And that was Unicron's scream whenever he got angry, when it was like, "Arr!" And if you go on my Twitter, and I just go on Twitter, search, do @Protoman and type the Hulk or Hulk, you'll see I put footage comparing side by side, because one of those guys, he did an interview and he talked about how he worked on those two movies and he was a sound engineer, and it was like, oh damn, that's the same sound. Those guys are still around. They have stories to tell, and it's stories that could be made into DVD extras. I will never forget, there was this terrible Will Ferrell movie called Ricky Bobby, where he was a NASCAR driver. I watched it because I love racing. I got tricked into watching a Will Ferrell movie because it was about racing. It was a terrible movie. Terrible movie. And I remember picking up the DVD box set after I wasted 2 hours of my life watching that movie with my father. And then I looked on it, 6 hours of extras, interviews, and all kinds of stuff. And I'm like, if this terrible 2-hour movie has 6 hours of extras, why can't we have 6 hours of extras of something as iconic as the Transformer brand, that you could do a whole segment just talking about the evolution of Optimus Prime? You could do a whole segment talking about the pre-production of stuff from Marvel going into the cartoons. There's so much you could do. So much. I can't stress that enough. I cannot. Sorry for the rant, but it's so true. There's so much. Look, I curate this stuff all the time. It's all on my hard drive. It's there, man. It's hilarious. Alex, it's not hilarious. That movie's terrible. I don't know. Will Ferrell, I don't know. No, maybe I have different humor, I guess. Let's jump into another question. But thank you for the super chat question, my friend. Put me on a rant. Don't put that evil on me, Ricky Bobby. Hey Proto, what was your favorite character in Cyberverse? Obviously let's just put Hot Rod aside. I really liked RC. She was really cool. Blur, for his brief appearance, was really cool. Who else was really good in that? Windblade was fine too. I liked you know what I liked? I liked the Sharkticons. They were only in really one episode, but the Sharkticons were really cool. I liked their dude bro surfer kind of thing. I could kind of relate with that. I don't know why. Like the Sharkticons, they were really cool. Who else was good in that series? Who else was good? I liked Drift. Oh no, I don't want to spoil. There's a spoiler with Drift. I kind of liked what they did with Drift. But Hot Rod was, my bias. Like season 3 Hot Rod. Here, let me just pull it up here. Season 3 Autobot Survivor Leader Hot Rod with the Sharkticons, because they're so cool. Was easily my favorite character. Really came into his own. And that's totally not a biased. Or is it? We may never know. But yeah, I don't know. There was a lot of really... I loved Cyberverse. I thought it was a great series. I just think he was too short. I think that the 10-minute format hurt the series in terms of storytelling, and it made it too short as a result. Because you had these 10-minute episodes, and they'd be like, oh, we have a 32-episode season. No, it isn't. No, it isn't. It's more like 14. It really goes by quickly. Let's jump into another question. Let's see. Protoman, you've spoken about your displeasure as Shatter and Dropkick as characters. I'm curious, if you were given the opportunity, what would you do with them and what would you change about them? I wasn't really displeased with them. It's just that it's the same old problem that constantly exists with these live action movies where I didn't get to know them. It's like, here they are, and now they're dead. And that's a big problem when it comes to investing with some of these characters where, you know, you could have a villain and you could have a villain die at the end of your movie, but at least develop your villain before he dies where, like, you know, I'm always like reminded Spider-Man 2, the original Spider-Man movies. You know, we got to know Doc Ock so that when he died, it was an emotional moment. It's like, oh man, this guy died, but there's layers of emotion and character development with it. We know his history, we know his life, we know, you know, his past, we know his present, we know what he plans to do in the future. These characters were introduced to us, and then they're killed off before it's over, and we didn't really get to know them. It's almost as if they were just there to sell toys. Anyways, but yeah, like I again, what would I have done differently? Look, I love John Cena. John Cena is a gentle soul, but get rid of those humans, man. I don't want that. Just you know, if you want to have a human, have one human, and just let it be. Let this organically happen. That way, people become obsessed with these characters and want to buy toys of them. Like, getting the audience to fall in love with John Cena's character does not sell product. It doesn't. Oh man, I really loved that Sector 7 John Cena character. Can't wait to go to Walmart and buy tons of figures of him and t-shirts and pins and hats and plushies. It's not going to happen. Don't try to think that you getting over these human characters. Look, we had 3 movies of Sam Witwicky, 3 movies. How many toys did he have? Like, let me look right now. Not counting the Indiana Jones Mutt figure that I use as my stand-in 3-inch Sam figure. He had a bunch of little figures that were unposable battle screen things. That's it. He had like 4 of those, and then he had the Human Alliance stuff, which came like already when the 3rd movie was on its way. Like, it was in between Revenge of the Fallen and Dark of the Moon. Like, why are you going to sell yourself on, like, sell the audience to these human characters and not have product that kind of works with it? Sell them on Bumblebee. And they did. They made people emotional about Bumblebee in that 2007 movie when he got captured by Sector 7. And guess what? Kind of worked out. That's why we're stuck with Bumblebee forever. That's what happens when you invest in your characters. Before you know it, people want to start buying them. Look at the Marvel movies. You know, the Marvel movies made people care about Iron Man when no one cared about Iron Man in the 90s and the early 2000s. No one cared. He was a B-list character at best, and only the people who read comic books cared about Iron Man. Even people who were playing video games during the Marvel Fighter days with Capcom, no one cared about Iron Man and his proton cannon. No one. Nobody. But that movie made people care. And before you knew it, everyone wants to be Iron Man. Everyone wants Iron Man toys. All of a sudden, there's an Iron Man anime. All of a sudden, there's an Iron Man TV series, The Armored Adventures, whatever it was called there. All of a sudden, there's Iron Man action figures, posters, costumes. That's how you do it. Make people love the characters. Don't get confused. Oh, but I want to have live-action John Cena in my movie. Who cares? I love wrestling. But I don't want John Cena in my movie unless he's voicing a robot. You know? It doesn't work like that. Got a super chat question by Sean McTaggart. How you doing, Sean? Thank you for the super chat question. I'm a huge fan of Circuit Breaker. That's a human I'd love to see in the movies. And I have a custom Barbie that turns into her. That's awesome, brother. Yeah, Circuit Breaker, and it would be a great toy. Circuit Breaker, unfortunately, is one of those Marvel IPs that they'd have to work something out with Marvel, and that's Disney. And we all know how they are. But in an alternate continuity where Marvel doesn't own Circuit Breaker and Hasbro could do something with that character, oh, I'd love it. And I think she would have been in something at some point, because then you could have a character that could interact with the robots, and you could have product that you could include. She could be a little figure that's included with a larger leader class, something like that. I mean, it's kind of sad. It's like we had Quintessa in Age of Extinction, not Age of Extinction, The Last Night, and she just got this little clear figure with the Infernicus, I think it was called, Infernicus, that combiner team. This little clear figure, and that was it. She was literally the main villain of the movie in a lot of ways. The main, the build-up of hype. And she got this little clear figure. That's it. While on, they made tons of figures of characters that served no purpose. And they wonder why those toy sales were in the toilet. Didn't even get past 2 waves. Sold terribly. Terribly. And it put an end to proper mainline movie toys before Studio Series became a thing. Where are we at? See, even Aaron here. I have stories. Exactly. Aaron, will save that for someone else's podcast. No need to waste it here on this garbage. Hey Proto, what if Disney buys Hasbro? Disney will never buy Hasbro because I think deep down Hasbro knows that if they go down, that's going to be it for the toy world. Because what would be left? If Hasbro goes down, the biggest toy company in the Western world, it's going to be mayhem, because then Mattel is going to be screwed, and then you're going to have all these small companies like Playmates and Spin Master and stuff just scrambling against this monster Disney that now owns Hasbro. It would be a mess. It would be a mess if that happened. And I think that Hasbro's aware of that, and they won't let that happen. There's no money. Look, Hasbro's the number one company. They don't need the money. They don't need. They're already licensing Disney stuff anyways. They don't need the money. They're doing just fine. I could see Disney buying Mattel. That's a different story. If Disney buys Mattel, that wouldn't surprise me. And then all of a sudden, all the Star Wars stuff and everything's with Mattel, which would be, but whatever. But I can't see it happening, my friend. Okay, we got a super chat from Lizard Sphere X, clearly loving his Dragon Ball Z, and his avatar is the best anime character of them all, Hanku. IP restricted characters are a pain, no? Oh yes, they are. They are. For the longest time, you couldn't even get reprints of some of the Marvel Transformer comics because they had Spider-Man in them, or because they made references to other Marvel characters. So it's something that always becomes a bit of a headache. And that's always been a bit of the problem with Transformers' history, is that it started as a Marvel property. And people forget that it was birthed in the Marvel bubble. And it's amazing that in some twisted way, Hasbro was able to weed it out of there, and in not being stuck as part of a Marvel Cinematic Universe kind of thing, where it would have just been, God, I don't know. I love some of the Marvel movie stuff, but I'm so glad that they're not joined at the hip legally. That would have just been a mess. That would have just been a mess trying to figure that out. As much as people would love to see the Guardians of the Galaxy go to Cybertron, I think it wouldn't work out in any way that would be favorable to us in the long run. I really don't. You'd have one Transformer that'd be joining the Avengers, like Groot, and you would get just as much lines as Groot does. So I think it works out better that it's separate. Dear Proto, what's your deal with IDW and Disney? Oh, I like IDW. IDW I like. Disney is a different story. And then he retracted his question. Well, I already read it. No, IDW I like. I like IDW. A lot of cool guys work there and everything. Disney, on the other hand, I think it's because I just wasn't a Disney kid growing up. I was a kid in the 80s and the 90s, and Disney just, I don't know, Aladdin was okay. Lion King was okay, and I guess Toy Story, but that's Pixar. But I don't know, Disney just wasn't my thing growing up, and I never had a nostalgic connection to it. My parents wanted to go to Disney one year in Florida, and me and my sister were just kind of like, can't we just go to like New York City? Like in our minds, like Disney was kind of boring. Even my sister, I remember my sister wasn't big on Disney. Like she saw Pocahontas in theaters when it first came out. And then every other Disney movie, it was kind of like, meh, not a big Disney person. And Disney buying Marvel and Star Wars, well, I think it wasn't a good thing. I think that greed took over everything else. In a world where there's already a lot of greed to begin with. Let's see. We got another question here. Hey, Proto. Wanting to get a Earthrise roundabout. Do you think there will be a possible re-release, or should we get the figure now? I don't think there'll be a re-release, brother. He's probably going to be one of those things that it's going to be like the club one. You're going to have Runabout, Run Amok, and then you got to wait like 5 years before we see those characters again. So I don't think re-releases are in the cards, so to speak. Hell, we might even see those trademarks again, but they won't be as you would hope, so to speak. Hey, Proto, ever put your podcast segments on Spotify or something like that? I did in the past, and you know what I learned? Nobody cares. The best way for me to reach you guys, and I've asked many people this, is via YouTube. I find that putting it on Spotify and all of those different things, it just doesn't hit enough ears. It really doesn't. It really doesn't. And I find it's just a waste of my upload time, It's better for me to record my segments, drop them on YouTube, and people could find it and enjoy it, and that's it. And considering that a lot of newer cars now, you could do audio-only YouTube stuff, and people just queue me up like a playlist, that's the future. That's the way to go, my bro. Where I find that Spotify and some of those other things, people aren't using it. I don't want to mention, like Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan moved to Spotify and his audience dropped by like 70%. It says it right there. Number one podcast in the world, whether you like them or not. Let's just talk about business and numbers. So there's a reality there. People like a YouTube platform for doing their podcasts. And it's the way to go, yo. And I agree with that. Hey, Proto, what Dinobot do you think will be revealed next in Studio Series 86, not including the obvious Slag? I would probably go with the obvious next Dinobot, which would be Sludge. Because he's the only other one I could really see as a leader class before they start shrinking him down, I guess. Because Swoop, I don't know, Swoop as a leader is going to be a tough one. Unless they give him like a huge wingspan. But I'll go with Sludge, and I like Sludge. I like my Brontosaurus, even though he's not a real thing. Hey, Proto, do you think anything about whenever Road Rage will be a Target red card? That's the rumor. The rumor is that Kingdom Road Rage, a.k.a. the red female repaint of Trax, the rumor is that it's going to be a Target red card exclusive, but there's no word on that yet. There's no word. Unless something came up as of this stream, there's no word yet on any of that. We don't know. We do not know, my friend. All I know is that all Target red card exclusives in Canada will be Toys R Us exclusives. So we won't need a card to get those. So if there is a difficulty for Americans to get it, find a Canadian bro. They could hook you up like we used to do back in the day with Transformers Prime and first editions. Hey, Proto, could you give a rough history and highlight of Beast Wars 2nd and Neo? You can't do a rough history on 252 episode series. I'll do it like this. It happens after Beast Machines. It's 300 years after 300 years after Beast Machines, 3,000 years after our current Earth timeline. Spoiler, planet Gaia is somewhere important that we're very familiar with. There's too much spoilery stuff to get into though. And then Neo is the sequel series, and it involves a Chaos Bringer putting his soul into the former baddie of the series before. There are a lot of people haven't seen it. I don't want to spoil it on such a big platform like my podcast where a lot of people are watching. So, I mean, the replays of the podcast get over 2,000 people every time. And of those 2,000, I guarantee a lot of them haven't seen Beast Wars Neo or Second yet. And they're both really good series for Beast Wars. So, I don't want to go too deep into it. I will say this, the manga versions, both Neo and Second, are completely different continuities and a completely different take that are just as interesting and a little heartwarming. Or sad, depending on how you look at it. Proto, how would you write a Spotlight, Runabout, and Runamuck? Like issue number... What was the issue that has the Statue of Liberty on the cover? What issue was that of Marvel books? What was that? Issue number 20, 21, 22, 23, 24? It's in those 20s. I'd run it like that, where they're two douchebags, to say the least. That just two Transformer Decepticon idiots that just are a pair, like a Bebop and Rocksteady. That's how I'd write them. Give a thumbs up, everyone. Thank you. Stinkfist69. Thank you. What happened to Chip Chase and Sparkplug after Season 2? Actually, if I could reach for it, Chip Chase was planned to make an appearance in Season 3 as an older character. They had the character models. He just was never used in an episode. That's the unfortunate thing with Nelson Shin and ACOM Productions that did most of the Season 3 episodes. Not a lot of consistency with keeping those character models working. As for Sparkplug, again, there's supplemental stuff that says what happens, but from an official 100% within the bubble of Generation 1, just written off. One could say he passed away. Heart problems, whatever, working at the mines or something. I don't know. He's nothing ever. But again, Chip Chase supposedly was supposed to be in Season 3. Glompy Goat with the super chat question. Thank you, Glompy. Glompy Goat wants to know, first toy, mine was Flywheels and the Sparking Cons. Mine was 1985 G1 Blaster. I actually keep them under the desk right here as a reminder of my first ever Transformer. I went to see the 1986 movie, fell in love with the character of Hot Rod, told my French-Canadian dad, could you get me the red and yellow robot? And he came home with a red and yellow robot. But it wasn't Hot Rod. It was Blaster. But I love that Blaster. Great figure. Really awesome. He's cool. He was my Autobot City for the longest time because he was so big compared to my Micromasters. So, and Blaster, I mean, even Blaster is huge compared to most of the G1 line. So, very out of scale. I love that Blaster figure. And now Blaster has a special place in my heart with every new release because he was my first Transformer. And he's a cool character. Got to meet Buster Jones, his voice actor, before he passed away at one of the past BotCons. So, it was a pleasure to meet the voice of my first Transformer. Thank you for the super chat question. Mr. Goat, greatest of all time. Hey, Proto, will Hasbro make a Shattered Glass show for the first time? What are your thoughts? Funny story, Derek Wyatt, back when animated would've, could've, maybe, possibly would have had a Season 4, Derek Wyatt said that Shattered Glass was in the ideas of a script, where Shattered Glass would have made its animation debut in the animated universe. And it just never happened. So, if that was something that's a possibility, why not? I mean, here's the way I see it. We're going to get those comic books first, the Casey Collar covers and everything that they're saying. We're going to get those Shattered Glass books. We'll see how that's received. Who knows? I personally don't think Hasbro 100% would hitch their wagon to a brand where a Megatron is a good guy and an Optimus is a bad guy. But I could see like a TV special, lower budget animation made for DVD thing, much like what WB does with their DC properties. I could see that happening, but I can't see a full multi-season dedicating yourself to this brand, toys, marketing, everything like that of Shattered Glass. Not with an Optimus as a bad guy. Hasbro doesn't have the balls to do that, to think like, oh, because in their mind, they're going to like, kids are going to think, oh, Optimus is the bad guy. And if they're like the new people getting into the Transformer brand and they're seeing this, and it would be confusing to them, I don't think they have the balls to do that. It's too risky. And I almost kind of don't blame them, because from a business standpoint, it doesn't make sense. Where are we at? Let's grab some other questions from some people that didn't get to ask. Aside from my super chats, of course. Knowing that Hasbro won't make the DJD, did you pick up the MMC versions? So, funny story. James Roberts was getting rid of his. He brought a whole bunch of Mastermind Creation stuff that he had. I don't know if they were gifted to him or if he bought them. And actually, let me grab something. Hold on. Let me grab something that he gave me. Where is it? Because I have it signed here. I got it signed. I have it all here. I don't even know what I'm going to do with it. It's on the wall. A little dusty. So, you guys made me get up and get something. So, James Roberts, when I was sitting next to him one of the shows, I forget which one it was. I think it was TFCon, Let's Take a Shot in the Dark 2018 Canada. He brought a whole bunch of the Mastermind Creation stuff, and he asked if I wanted any of it because I told him I didn't buy any of it. And he also had other stuff that he was getting rid of. And he had a UK carded long haul. And I was like, I'll take that, but you have to sign it. And it doesn't make any sense for him to sign it. I was just like, okay, UK long haul. Which the UK ones, the only thing that's different is they don't come with Devastator pieces. And they have slight differences from the G2 color scheme. But they're not marketed as G2 product. They're just Transformers. So, I don't know. I thought it was funny. And to get him to sign it, because I just defaced a carded G2 Constructicon. But never got them. I would have, maybe Tarn. But I feel that those guys one day, some of them will get toys. They won't be like the IDW versions. But they will get toys at some point. I think Tarn will probably get something that'll really be like how he looks. But everyone else, not going to happen. No electric chair Transformer in the future for us. Dear Proto, what is your opinion of Transformers the Ride? Do you think the attraction will last as long as the... Well, I mean, look, the Universal Studios stuff is still around. There still is merchandising of the character of... What was his name? What was the name of that character, the blue one? I have his figure because it was a Universal Studios exclusive. What was his name? The blue car. Someone help me out here because I'm too tired. Jeez, what was his name? I just totally blanked on that. Because he was the face of it, and it was supposed to be when you're in the ride, you're sitting inside him. Someone's got to know what I'm talking about. He was the mascot of it. No one knows what I'm talking about. I guess everyone's Googling right now. Evac, thank you. It's named after one of the original primes from Cybertron. Thank you, guys. So Evac, he's still available at that store. You could still buy Evac stuff, and so there's still some kind of staying power. I mean, is it good or not? I don't know. I never went. When BotCon had that thing there where you could do like a trip for the Universal tour or whatever, I was just like, nah, I'm good. I'm gonna hang out around Pasadena as a Canadian that never gets to enjoy good weather. So I did that instead. Much more fun in my opinion, hanging out with my peeps. I'm gonna get a sea of Evac answers now for a bit. Um, let's see. Proto Man, have you seen Symbiotic Titan? Yes, I haven't seen it in years though. I haven't seen it in a very long time. I almost I know I liked it. I just don't remember it. Was that that was the one that used stop motion, right? That was the one that used not stop. Yeah, it used like stop motion stuff, right? Or was that there was another one that had a similar name? I could be wrong. I haven't seen that in forever. Let's see here. Dear Proto, if there were to be an alternators line based on supercars, well, there was some supercars in the alternator line. Which cars are the top of your list to make? McLaren. Well, I mean, I'm not a big fan of supercars just because while they're cool, it's just not something that I could relate to. But I mean, look, what Hot Rod and Mirage turned into, the Ford 500, that's a supercar. Obviously, you'd go into those, the Porsches, the Lambos, but even Porsches aren't considered supercars, so you have to go into the Lambos and the Ferraris, and then the Bugatti Veyrons and stuff like that. But I find that all of those cars, because they're all trying to be the same kind of futuristic-looking thingy, it's not attractive to me. Where, I mean, there was the Alternity line Starscream turned into, it's probably not going to be on the cross-sell of the back of the packaging here. No, it won't be. Starscream turned into it had such a weird name, like the Hyuga or whatever, which was like some weird Japanese supercar that just because it had like those gull wings, it would look like Seeker wings when you transform them. It was, I don't know. I'm not big on supercars. I like stuff that's a little more, I guess we could call it ground level. Stuff that you could use in GT and rally and stuff like that. Have more of a connection to stuff like that. Street racing. Stuff like that, man. Dear Proto, think we'll see the DJD get figures from Hasbro at some point? Yes and no. Maybe Tarn. The other ones, probably not. The trademarks don't exist. Orochi. Oh, there you go. Is that what it was called? Jeez. The Orochi. Orochi means demon in Japanese. Sure. See, muscle cars even. Look, there's tons of muscle cars in Transformers. You know what I mean? Muscle cars are more ground level. More something that you and me could build up and enjoy. What object would you like to see in Transformers? I guess you mean like that something would transform into? Zachary, is that what you mean? Follow up that question. Do you mean ancient artifacts? Hey, Pro, do you think we could make a new faction, and what would you call it? Well, I think that's what the mercenaries are right now. I think the mercenary faction is the new hotness for a third faction. Back in the day, it was the Minicons. The Minicons were the third faction. And then, I guess the Omnicons and the Omnibots and all that stuff. Akuma also means demon, too. And so does, there's another term for demon also. They all mean the same shit. There are multiple terms for it. Dear Protoman, what do you think of Hunter Ratchet from Transformers Go? Which one was that? Because I have only a few Transformer Go figures. I have the combiner guys there, like the jet and the fire truck and the police car. And then I got a few others. I'd have to see which one the Hunter Ratchet was. I don't think I got him. Hey, Pro, please answer this Walter P38 or Tank. Look, if you want to go classic, yeah, Walter P38, but Tank is what you're going to get forever because it's the one that could be done. It's a gun with wheels. Ah, there, Oni. Yeah, that's another one for Demon. There's another one. That's what the demons from Dragon Ball, from the home of infinite losers, or hell. They're Onis in traditional Japanese style with the horns. Hey, Proto, do you want Beast Wars 2 figures with an update? Well, of course, but Beast Wars 2 figures, most of them were Hasbro figures that were given character. So when you say Beast Wars 2 figures, I mean, do you want an update of, let's see, like what's an obscure one? Like Icard, the, blue repaint of Clawjaw. That we'll probably not see. Not for a while anyhow. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. Just looked up Grimlock Mirage on Amazon, and it's up again with pre-order to USA. Ah, there you go. Pre-orders are back up. So if you haven't got them, get them. Because he's selling like hotcakes. Let me just pull up that for people that just came. Number one seller. Number one seller, people. Is it still $52.99? We do not know. We got 15 minutes left in the stream, my people. Get your super chats in before you can. Dear Proto, what do you think of RED Warrior class Soundwave? That is the one that was the one that had the laser beak that pops out of his chest, but it doesn't pop out completely. I don't own it. I saw it. It looks cool. I wouldn't pay full price for it, but it looks cool. I'd keep it if I had it. Majin in Japanese is also related to genie, by the way, guys. It's a demonic genie. That's why Majin Buu in Dragon Ball had baggy pants, kind of like a blue genie from Aladdin. Also has kind of the funny little hair at the top, too, when you think about it. If we were to get stories apart from Optimus versus Megatron, what would you want from those stories, from the past or future or more? Oh man, I just want once, and I know that they're scared to do it, but just to have 2 new leaders, just 2 new guys, even if it's just for like, and you know what though, it would suck because if we did it just for 1 year and it was successful, it would scare the crap out of them because then they'd be like, oh my god, 2 years of no Optimus and and I mean like hard no Optimus, no Megatron, meaning like not only are they not the leaders, but they don't even show up. Like just have them like they're gone. They went back to their home planet and didn't come back. Like just have them not around at all. That's what I want more than anything. Like a serious Transformer series with 2 new leaders. And then build on those 2 characters and have those 2 characters be new 2 IPs that you could always pull up in the future because you built a fan audience that loves those characters. Much like you could dip into Beast Wars when you want to now, when things get stale with G1, you could dip into other characters if you build them up. Look, Alex post here, Rodimus versus Bludgeon, right? Why do we love Bludgeon? Because Simon Furman took a chance and gave that character the front of the Decepticon army for a small period of time during his run on those books. And as a result, we now look at that character fondly, and you could pull from him once in a while. Give those characters a chance. We can't always have the Legendary 7 and some of those second-tier characters. Aaron Archer wrote, man, I helped make evac. Aaron, you're behind on the stream here. A lot of people said they didn't like evac, Aaron. I don't know. I thought the toy was okay. I never got to enjoy anything of the Universal stuff, so that's a whole other different story. Why does Hasbro hate Transformers Animated? They didn't hate Transformers Animated. Hasbro Animated was Plan B. When those movies, when they took off, man, it was like, okay, we're going to go with this Transformer Prime movie aesthetic. If those Michael Bay movies, if those movies didn't do well, I think we would have got more animated. That's it. That's probably the reality, and it might not sit well with you, but it's a truth. It's a hardcore truth, unfortunately. Bludgeon would be great. Bludgeon would be great. You could have him be a more honorable kind of villain that would almost make it get rid of the black and whiteness of villainy. Like, oh, he's villain. There's no redeeming qualities. You could do something where he's almost someone who like has an honor in a way, almost like a Beast Wars Dinobot. You could write him. Again, ignore how he was done in Simon Furman's books. But just like you could write them that way and have this unique bludgeon character as a Decepticon leader, and then have a unique guy as an Autobot leader. You don't have to use pre-existing stuff. Just use, take someone that like really never got much attention and push them to the front. Push them to the front of everything. And like, I'm trying to think of like a really, really, really obscure kind of character that has a name that would work for it. Like, I'm trying to see, like, I don't want to say like Gears, or Swerve or something, because we kind of have a connection with that, or Tailpipe. But like, take a character and just push him to the front, or make a new one. If you can't, just make a new one, make a new IP, and just, you could have them be the leader of the Autobots. But again, Hasbro will be scared with that because they're worried that some kid this is going to be their first Transformers, and that's what they're going to be nostalgic to, and they might even reject the idea of an Optimus Prime and a Megatron when we do return to that. Thunderclash is a good one. Yeah, Thunderclash would be an interesting one. They don't have the trademark, unfortunately, but that would be a good one. That's a very Optimus kind of character, though, unfortunately. It'd be very truck-like. I'd like if they did something different then. Grapple. I don't know about Grapple. Longtooth. Hyperdrive. Again, another very Optimus kind of character. Another who was scrapped. Was going to be used with the UK stuff and with... not Operation Combination. The it was Operation Combination. Yeah, it was Operation Combination. Erector. Speed Punch versus Scourge. Again, there's to me, it's something where you'd have to really sit down, look at character models, look at how it would be toyetic, use it for a toy, get that to work. Would it be something that's a catchy name? It can't be just a boring name for a leader. You have to understand that's the face of your brand. That's who the kids might want to get more so than anyone else. There's a lot of layers to that. Take care, Stinkfist69. Thank you for the super chats again, brother. We actually have 10 minutes left anyways. We got 10 minutes left, my friends. What about Nominus Prime? He's a jet. Well, Starsaber. What I loved about the idea of Starsaber was not only was he a jet leader, but he was a jet leader that had his own trailer. So it still kind of kept the idea of like, when Hot Rod became Rodimus, it's like he's a car with a trailer now. Like that was the gimmick, and I loved that idea. So it's the same thing where it's like, oh, it's a jet now with a trailer. Like I loved that kind of wink and nod in a lot of ways that they kept that idea. But at the same time, I just don't know if Hasbro's going to want to take that risk again. It's like, Japan would. Japan is a different story because Japan is used to switching up stuff every year. Because their Sentai brand, their Ultraman brand, their Kamen Rider brands, all these brands that make them big money from Bandai and stuff, they change their cast, they change their characters, they change their designs every single year, and it still keeps going. They keep it fresh every time. The Transformer brand right now is in this freaking, it's on a treadmill and it's getting nowhere. It's making money, it's burning calories, but it's getting nowhere. It really is. Someone asked a question about Transformers as horror. Where did I see that? I saw it somewhere here. Maybe I missed it. But someone asked like if Transformers could be like a horror series. I mean, there was episodes that played with the idea. There was that Beast Machines episode where Botanica debuted. I mean, they could go for that aesthetic, but then you need a good director. Because horror is all about the directing then. And I don't know. That's something that has to fall into the hands of those individuals at the end of the day. We got 8 minutes left, people. Just a reminder. And while I got you guys here for that moment, while the super chats come in, again, Symbiote Studios. Be sure to check them out. They sponsor the podcast. Keep the lights on for us. Check out their stuff, symbiotestudios.com. Transformer plush, Transformer pin. I love their metal pins. Awesome metal pins. Dear Proto, Grimlock or Beast Wars Megatron? Beast Wars Megatron is my favorite Transformer villain of all time. And David Kaye is one of my favorite Transformer voice actors of all time. So Beast Wars Megatron will win over every single time. I love Beast Wars Megatron. And I love David Kaye. And I love sitting down with him and having steak and broccoli one time. That was fun. With David Wise, too. I asked if it would be possible to pull off a Transformer horror series, like Aliens. Oof. Live action? Live action stuff, maybe, because then you're going to have your humans getting killed off by them, I guess. But then you're alienating your audience that's a toy-buying audience. So it's a tough one. It'd have to be something that's short-run, made for DVD, you know? Like, I look at how DC handles their stuff, where they have stuff that's more adult, they have stuff that's movies, they have stuff that's made for kids, they have the direct-to-DVD stuff that's violent. You gotta kind of cover all your bases. Because if you stick to only one thing, which unfortunately Transformers doesn't have the market to just do tons of different things, if you stick to just one thing, which is what they'd have to do, it'd be tough. I could keep Op out of Rescue Bots. Yeah, but Rescue Bots was also like a kid's brand. And there were still plenty of Optimus toys and Rescue Bots, let me tell you. Oof. That didn't stop him from being that big price point stuff every single time. And then him coming back as a dinosaur. So, open the floor. Transformers 4. Optimus rides a dinosaur. Transformers Prime had a really good Terracon episode. Yeah, and even stuff with Arachnid. You know, like they had a horror flavor to it. You know, there was a bit of a horror flavor to it. But again, to do a whole series of it, that's a whole different thing. It's a lot more difficult to dedicate yourself to something like that. Does Kingdom Beast Megatron really have bad breakage issues? I'm hearing that people are busting them, but I mean, I don't know. I kind of have a lot of Transformer toys, kind of a bit, and in all my years, I think I've broken like 5 things, and 4 of those 5 were GPS related. So I don't know. When I see people talking about breakage stuff, it better be because the toy really is crap. Not because of ham-fistedness. I've seen some people that are just really rough. Look, when you go to TFCon and you look at the bar and there's some people that are just like, they're really in there, man. They're really in there. You know, and 2 toys. Mysterious third alt mode. Convertible. You know? That's what I always say. Convertible mode. Break it. Which Cheetor is the Beast figure? RID net. Which Cheetor? I guess he's trying to say which Cheetor is the best figure? RID Netflix or Kingdom line? I'm not a big fan of that Kingdom Cheetor, that mold. So I'll go with the RID one, even though it doesn't transform. Glompy Goat with the super chat. One more for the road. Thank you, Glompy Goat. Any TFs you truly hate? Toy wise, I always fall on Night Scream, and same thing character wise. Night Scream was one of these characters that he had a weird design. Him being introduced messed with the idea, like, oh, there's organic bats on Cybertron, so that's how he was able to scan it. So it had that crazy thing going on with it. His toy was super out of scale with everything, and it had clear plastic in the orange legs that broke during transformation. Not a lot of good things happening with Night Scream, but he had a good McDonald's toy. It looked like this. It had a weird pose, kind of looked like a. So I mean, I guess that's the one good thing I say about Night Scream. But I'll go with Night Scream. Kind of a crappy design. Looked weird. Beast Machines had a lot of weird designs, but his was an extra layer of like it also, some designs, like, you could get used to them. Optimus Primal's design, not very Optimus looking, but I got used to it. Cheetor's design, Black Arachnios, Rat Traps. Night Screams was just a level above that of, not feeling it. Weird face, all kinds of stuff going on. Yeah, I see people saying he was ugly. Yeah, he was an ugly dude. And and it's okay for Transformers to be ugly, but sometimes there's a lot of things going on. He was the new kid character too. He's like younger than Cheetor. So there's a lot of things going on with him that wasn't redeemable, I guess is the best way to put it. The way he attacks too, he spits like this like hook thing that sticks to you and then shocks you. I don't know. Weird character. If I don't ever see him again, I'll be just fine. Let's put it this way. Proto, any examples of Mexican standoffs in Transformer fiction? What's the biggest battle of factions in brand history? There was a Mexican standoff in Dark of the Moon between Sideswipe and two other characters that I can't remember right now. But yeah, there was in the Dark of the Moon one, did a Mexican standoff. What's the biggest battle of factions in the brand? The opening battle in the Transformers Headmasters opening. Watch the opening for Transformers Headmasters in Japanese. That's a slugfest, to say the least. You got everybody just blasting the hell out of each other in space. So I'll go with that. That's the most awesome, badass 1 minute and 30 seconds of your life. Sung by none other than Mr. Hiru whatever from Jam Project, who does all the amazing Transformer music and Dragon Ball and everything. We have 1 minute left in the stream, my friends. And that is it. So get your super chats in, and then we're going to have to do our close for the day. Hey, Proto, can you explain how Shockwave got the Dinobot dinosaur modes? Which continuity, my friend? Because that's 3 different continuities right there that use that origin story. We'll go with the original Savage Land Marvel comic books one. That wasn't Shockwave doing that. That was, what do you call it? That was Teletran 1 or Auntie making that decision. Hey, Proto, can we get an official Octus in the collaborative line for Doctor Who people? I don't know. You'd have to talk to Hasbro and see how the trademarks would work with that one. I know you really hate Age of Extinction and all. It's not that I hate it. It's just the movies, they don't really serve much of a purpose, and they didn't really help the brand in the long run in a lot of ways. They actually that was the downward turn in a lot of ways. But all did you at least like the new Autobot cast the movie got and the personalities? Okay. Let's just start. So how great was the Autobot Dinobots in Age of Extinction? Or how great was, what was your favorite line by Drift in Age of Extinction? Or how awesome was, Bumblebee in it? It's meh. Andy Davis wants to know with the super chat for $2. What's my favorite food? Thank you for the super chat, Andy. I love Chinese food. I love Chinese food to death. It's my go-to. Give me beef with Canadian broccoli with fried noodles with orange beef, not General Tao, orange beef, which has the little orange peels that are cooked in it. That's my go-to, with a thing of rice on the side. People always say, really, noodles and rice? Yeah, give it all to me. With a tall glass of water. Mix all that oil and water, and that's my go-to. I love Chinese food. Love it, love it, love it. That's why beef and Canadian broccoli. It's called Canadian broccoli instead of bok choy. Smaller Canadian. Beef with Canadian broccoli with fried noodle, steamy rice on the side, and a orange beef. That's my last meal. Let's put it that way. If I had a last meal, like in prison, it would be that. And one more question before the night is done. And the last question will be, Dear Proto, do you think the Predators will happen at some point? Maybe in color scheme homage, but not in trademark. That's what I think. We might, there'll be some kind of jet generic at some point, and they'll do some kind of color scheme like that. But otherwise, I think that'll be it. Ninjatron, do double carbs. Yeah, because carbs are my problem, Ninjatron. Please. Really, please. Please. Like I worry about that. I'm nearly 40 and I don't have to worry about that. Let's just say I stay in shape and my genetics are good for it. So I'm fine. I don't worry about carbs. I worry about the stuff that'll kill me stealthily. Why don't you tell me about sodium? Sodium will kill me. Sodium will kill me. Sugar will kill me. Carbs? I burn that stuff off like nothing. Anyways, guys, what a way to end. Jeez. So that's it for the Transformer Slag podcast live stream tonight. Once again, thank you everyone for coming. If you want to support the podcast, we have our Patreon, patreon.com/Protoman. The link is in the description below. Come join the podcast. You'll get your name put in the end credit scrolls and all the crazy stuff that we do. We have our Discord where we post a whole bunch of cool stuff there. It gets to a point that it's the way that the podcast is going to survive, because who knows what YouTube will do in the future. So if I have a strong Patreon backer, it doesn't matter where I go in the world and where the podcast will be, I'll always have that foundation. I know I'm making you hungry, brother. I'm hungry too. After I'm done, I'm going to grab a bite. I actually got pizza today. I got takeout pizza, so I'm gonna destroy that. But again, Protoman, patreon.com/Protoman. Check that out. Again, also, I have Twitter. Got to get used to that. Got Twitter, so check me out on Twitter. Check me out on Instagram. I try to post weekdays. I try to post new Transformer images and stuff. People really dig that when I do like the history stuff and everything. Check it all out. Again, patreon.com/Protoman. Check out Symbiote Studios, the sponsor, symbiotestudios.com, and all their cool product with Hasbro. And as always, like I always say, roll out.